Hey guys, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I'm joined once again by Maryland.
Howdy, gamers.
We actually are re-recording this because I had a little bit of an oopsie with some audio issues, and I think it was my fault. Samir has been kind enough to sit back down with me. That's how you can really tell the production standards on this channel are rising. Is instead of just saying, "Oh, we'll let you guys deal with it," we're like coming back to re-record it. Yeah, I asked Mayor. I secretly was hoping he would say, "It'll be fine," but he was like, "No, you should probably re-record it."
It was pretty awful.
So the game.
Yeah,
Uh, So we're, as you can tell from this screen, things are winding down. Things have been winding down, but we're at like that last little death rattle before a couple of these nations leave the game. The Ulm Satis thing is just on the last final stretches. The Ashdod Zabalba conflict almost over. And oh god, is
same
there
with
anything else? Yeah, the Pan
yeah,
End thing.
the panned in thing is also tapering off. We don't want to spoil it because we've recorded ahead here already. We're going backwards, so we'll have to try to. I'm going to try to keep my mind just focused on this turn.
Right.
So uh, I think this summary is going to be a little weaker than often.
So you want to do these
All right,
messages for us, Maryland?
I'll do that. All right, this is Pan. It's odd to say that not much is going to happen this turn when I'm storming a fort with 150 sacreds and assaulting Inn's capital. But from how Platypus has been playing, I just don't expect much carnage. This is the turn that he could surprise me if he still has a trick up his sleeve, but I just have managed expectations at this point. I'm preparing for a lot of cleat-up stuff at this point that I wasn't able to do while fighting Ind. There are a bunch of monster boars that I can patrol out and charm. Yeah, and this is interesting. We did discuss where the heck are these monster boars coming from? And there's some fun memes you can do with those once you own them.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to charm them. I had initially been planning on casting this spell on myself specifically to do this, but since I have some from events, oh, they're from events. How did we
Yeah,
miss them?
some of them. Yeah, these are the
Right
ones in
on.
because there's a. I think what Ulm has, or no, I can't remember. There's a few nations with monster boars. It's not just stuff that Pan's conquered. Vanheim
But
was had some, I think,
I
and
looked this up, and only Van gets the spell. Sorry, only
Pangea.
Pan in
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
game
I think there's just
gets
been a
the
lot of
spell.
monster boar events this game. I
The
don't
other
know.
possibility is he might have cast some monster boars on territories he later took,
He
and
said
so
in my
so that
Discord that, and so this is, yeah, I think I had questions about it, and he just basically answered me. He said he has not cast monster boars in except on himself this game.
okay,
So he hasn't
okay.
cast them on himself yet, but I guess in the future he probably does.
So they must just be from events.
Yeah.
I also need to cover a province that has a cult of Gaia that got two Dryad Mother Spawn events. It has a pretty high chance of a nasty attack, so I actually need a thug to cover it. Oh yeah, yeah, I know that event. That's quite
Yeah.
the chain. That we looked at that chain
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else. We were talking about that chain and we went over it. I
Yeah.
think
It's
I can take what Ind has patrolling 104 with just one heavy thug, so we want to look at 104 in a sec. An E Hierophant with fire resist from gear, first round Iron Skin, Frostbrand, and Vine Shield should be able to handle the devils. And then Bless will cover the size 3 air elementals. Just need to script Bless twice in case of interruption, and then a regen ring to handle the rest of the chaff. Speaking of those air elementals, the way that Int has been using size 3 air elementals and the Bone Tribe guy that died to Hedor holding D gems really reminds me of how the AI will scatter kind of random gems on its magi or mages.
that's kind of
Yeah,
rude.
yeah. Assuming my storm succeeds, the next turn I trapeze my god onto Uruk. I believe he means Uruk the province rather than Uruk's remaining fort. Turn after I'm putting up Blood Vortex. Turn after that I make an elemental staff and look into what sort of global I'm saving for. With only 6 air income and needing to spend 25 on an air hat, and then possibly needing storm staves to guard against flyers, I don't think that it's realistic to aim for dark skies, especially considering that we're going into the phase of the game where globals need to be heavily overcast to stay up. It and or vengeful water would be nice to have though, and I want to put up a bunch of temples in the Ind area anyways to start spreading my scales and allow for more Dryad Hierophant production, not to mention increasing the number of white centers I can get per turn from my cap. As far as war prep goes, Ulm is giving me time to finish off Ind, but there's a lot of Guardians in 116, so I'm going to need to leave a bunch of Dryads and similar expected surprises along our border and in 193. If he attacks Pelagia, I'll leave him alone, but otherwise I'm continuing to operate under the assumption that he's going to invade me soon. Okay. All right, so he thinks there's a risk from Ulm. I don't think there is. We talked about that. It would be a really sort of crazy move for Ulm. And we happen to know that Ulm's still got some bits of Satis to finish.
Right. Yeah. And Ulm has to. It's so tricky with Ulm because he's got to. Ulm falls off as the game goes later. We're in the period where they're already falling off.
Is Satis's god on the map? Let's finish up the Pangaean look.
Yeah, we'll do that. We didn't get a message from Ulm though. But yeah, so for Pangaea and End.
Looks pretty minimal.
Yeah,
so,
he's got.
He took that fort.
This is the storming of Uruk. Yeah.
The Maenads could probably have done it just by themselves.
Yeah. It's
2 Magi. Yeah.
He had these forts for 2 or 3 turns total. It's just this whole style of war. Yeah, it just plays into Pangaea's hands so much. Here's the storming of this fort.
So that's but
there's no mages here. Yeah.
None at all.
Somebody was asking on my... I think there's one. Somebody was asking on my Discord the other day, like, I think it was a newer player, and they were saying, you know, what's the right ratio of troops to mages?
I didn't comment on that. I read it.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
Oh, what would you say?
You buy a mage in every fort every turn, and if you have leftover gold, you buy troops.
Yeah, that's not a bad way.
There's an exception. There are exceptions to that, but that's a solid rule.
Sure.
And if you're low on gold, you buy the cheaper magi, and if you've got extra gold, you buy the bigger ones. But I personally think
that's good advice for a new player. I think it keeps it simple.
Yeah, if you've got more forts than that, then you made too many forts.
Yeah.
If you can't afford a mage in every fort, then realistically you've got too many forts.
Yeah,
There's a valid reason to make the odd fort with no lab and maybe no temple.
Yeah, if you don't have troops either, like if all your troops get wiped out, you need to make more, even if it means not making mages. So
those are exceptions to that rule of thumb. It's a rule of thumb. It's one I use. The other rule of thumb I use is roughly 1 fort for 4 provinces.
Yeah.
So 12 provinces, 3 forts.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. So on the army composition, so that's on like the production side. And I think that's actually what the question on my Discord was asking about, was the production. On the army composition side, if you're in a low skill lobby, like if there's not very experienced players in your game, you can get away with mostly just making troops and maybe even winning the game having very little bit of mage use at all. Especially if you have a really strong Hellbless or something.
But I don't like to see people do that because it leads to habit that's going to cost you as you go up.
So that's a low skill game. In a high skill game, there are so many things that counter pure troop compositions that even small raiding forces often need a mage in it to be successful if you're using troops in that raiding force. And armies need significant number of mages. And the minimum number of mages you need, in my opinion, for a Doom stack is the number of mages to get all the important buffs off on your army you're going to need. And everything after that is going to be more the retail stuff for spamming evocation, and then there's like this gray ground of like point buffing, right? So if you have a big army, how much point buffing do you want to do? Early game, that may be all the buffs you have is the point buff. So the reason we went on this diatribe here, though, is if you look at it, this is a lot of troops from End and no mages. And some of this may be a player decision, but I think a lot of this, Maryland, is a lot of these commanders have been sniped off by Dryads because he's running all over the place with commanders in his army in places he's not patrolling. And realistically, you can't fight this chaotic war where you're running around like a goddamn taxi service and expect that Dryads are never going to have a place to seduce and retreat to.
No, and we've commented about Ind that we think that Ind probably has lost I would guess 60% of all the Magi he's ever bought to just Dryad crap.
Yeah.
We don't see it. That's our trouble. But some of the hints we've heard from Pangaea is that he has grabbed a lot of Magi between
Yeah.
seductions and assassinations. And we've seen that he's got stacks with Magi from almost every nation in the game.
Yeah.
So he's just, I think, in lack of Magi is, and I agree with you that sending your Magi out without enough assassin defense in small groups is high risk against an opponent like Pangaea.
Yeah, and one of the most important strategies you have against like seduction or assassin spam is patrolling. That's one of the best ones, especially if you have ways to turn one kill things like Soul Slay or in End's case Smite, because they can't retreat. You'll kill them before they get off the battlefield. So, you know, I think that's, I don't know, running off into enemy land on an aggressive bend while they take your infrastructure and you try to trade with them. You're opening yourself up to a whole big landslide of assassin problems that you wouldn't have if you were more focused on trying to take fights on your side of the map and patrolling out assassins. You have to be careful because every time you patrol, a Pangaean army can slam into you too. So it's not simple, but
no, it's not simple. And we need to also keep in mind that the subbing of Ind changed the whole game.
Right.
And I think the sub was pretty confused about what was going on beforehand.
Yeah.
So to give him credit, I think he caught himself into a situation that didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Probably was a little confusing about why is something here and why is this army there, and because it sounded to me like the transition did not go as smoothly as you would hope. There was another little tidbit I just wanted to mention.
Yeah.
When we were talking about recruiting Magi and recruiting troops, just another rule of thumb is if you've got high productivity or high resource troops, you have to keep buying them all the time. But if they're low resource troops, then you're better off to wait and buy them just as you need them.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's just a rule of thumb.
Yeah. And sacred troops, they have you wanting to buy them all the time too. So if you're a nation with recruit anywhere sacred's like middle-aged Marignon, it feels really bad not slamming on your knight button. All right, I think Ind's dead. Right. There's a battle on top of the fort. There's hardly anything present. Oh, yeah. There is one thing. The god is here.
Oh, yeah, the itty-bitty god.
It's Daedrum.
That's right. We need to look at that one. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Daedrum got shrunk because he twice born when he was frogged.
Yep.
This is what we...
Yeah, this is the very rarely seen Veti Hag white mage form of a god.
Yeah, which I believe more or less only occurs if you happen to get, what's that spell called?
The Frog Prince.
Curse of the Frog Prince. Yeah, if you got that hit you, you turn into a frog, you had twice born up, you come back as this.
Yeah, you could also get it if you did like transformation and turned into a dragonfly and we're like, yeah, we'll keep this form. But realistically, I'm pretty sure people that do that are going, if you want stealth on your god, this actually is not a harmful thing. But
No, but it's flimsy.
Yeah, it's pretty damn flimsy.
I would make one more comment. Putting many types of gems on a rainbow pretender can be a mixed bag because you can only script like a few large battle spells, and then after that it might start just spamming elementals and fatigue itself out so it can't get away.
I don't think what is he trying to cast? These imps might have completely messed him up though.
Yeah, I think they did, but it looks like a few less pearls are done.
Oh my god, that's so many imps. Is he even casting summon imps?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh god, he sure is.
Yeah,
look at that. How many of those?
Oh my god.
Plus, I'm sure he's got some lifelongs in there somewhere.
Where did this? Yeah, no, there's definitely some of those. Bloodlust from that dude. Oh yeah, so those are bloodlusted imps too. Summon imps, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
It looks like there's only 3 pandemonics, and 2 of them were doing summon imps. The other one was doing bloodlust.
But that is a lot of imps.
Yeah, and these guys hurt. They've got the strength bonus.
Yeah. Can you hit the Control C there?
Oh sure. Done. Well, we can.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I was just curious how many imps that was, because I'm thinking that's only about round 6.
Yeah. The gods died, which the silver lining of that is he can summon him back and get him in his base form
Yeah, he'll be back to his normal form.
as the Bahamut, I think. So we'll see. He could maybe, but I think he'll be scripted with the same thing, whatever the Veti Hag was scripted with, except if this was like a buff the PD script, which is what it looked like, hey, we'll put Fog Warriors on our PD, but really die to imps before that can happen.
Yeah,
then the god...
it'll show up with whatever script it had, no gems, no gear.
Yeah, it'll be completely useless. And you know what? Come to think of it, Marilyn, I'm pretty sure there's an episode in the future where you and I forget about that. We're like, what is he doing with the script on his god?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh.
So that's that. Let's go to Vanheim next. I'll read this one.
Go for it.
I got Alt 9 this turn, so I can now also cast Wish. And with an income of 24 pearls, I can cast it pretty often. Wishing for gems this turn, but I may do something a little more advanced next time. Next research targets are Blood 8, and after that, probably Conjuration 8. Blood hunting is now giving almost 200 slaves a turn, so that's nice. Next turn, I may cancel my nap with Pelagia. Nice.
Okay, so May. And I remember I kind of mentioned that just what exactly advanced other options for Wish is there for him? So I was thinking there aren't very many uniques. I mentioned he could try to steal and kill it, because that would wish it to where you wished it. It would arrive as a Pelagian mage with its gear, but if you had patrollers out and they were on top of the fort, you could probably kill it before it could get away.
Yeah, that's
Other than
true.
that, I'm not really sure what other... I couldn't think of other wishes that would help him in a significant way. What about you?
Yeah, I think gems is the main one.
I think it is.
You never know when you need like a Seraph or something like that. They can be nice. I don't think they're really strong enough to stack wipe super hard.
Yeah, are they worth 100 pearls, I guess, is the burning.
Yeah, and the thing is, this late in the game, it's very hard to super combatant anything. So, yeah, that's like wishing for some super chassis that could kill a whole army. I don't think there's any real chassis that you could do that on without empowering them. So,
yeah.
Versus like Psy or Arco, it's going to be real hard to super combatant.
The two I could think of, and I think somebody in this game is thinking of doing it, is magic power or power. And there are certain chassis that might pay off a god, maybe.
Yeah, for certain. Especially if you're a little worried about your god getting killed by Wish or something. Wishing for strength or something.
He's got a Frostfather, so changing it to a new form and pumping its power wouldn't be a bad thing, because at least then it would be less likely to get quickly sniped if it got caught out or something. Get us some hit points, some real regen. It
depends. There's a lot of boutique, weird little finicky things you can do with Wish that are only applicable in very certain circumstances. Like one of them, I won't spoil this one because I do it in another game, but it's hilarious, and I've never actually seen it done. But
Chalice doesn't heal tarts anymore.
Yeah, so it doesn't do that.
That doesn't really work. That used to be one that was sometimes worth it, is steal the Chalice.
Yeah, and you can wish for items, like steal the Gatestone. That can be worth it. The Gatestone's cheaper to wish for than it is to construct. And there's a few items that are close.
The Anvil of Creation as well, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, that was just a bit of a diversion. What sort of wishes might he be considering? And we'll see it if he tells us.
Yeah, and there's not too much going on over here. We don't even really see an inordinate amount of troops on Pelagia's border, but I guess if they have a nap 3, they'll have some time to move these guys south and some time to move these guys north. So they're not standing out here in the open because they're not dumb, but this is... Oh, you know what, Maryland? We can see from Pelagia. We're actually going to come back and watch this in a future episode, because in this episode we actually miss it, that we're re-recording. But
yeah, now we're re-recording and we can see it, and this one's fun.
But you get to watch it twice. So, a bunch of Springhawks.
This is the strange chassis. We were like, where did this come from? What was this? And you thought...
But I was thinking, this is almost certainly an indie. Like, I think it's an indie that rolled the death random. And
yeah.
There's also a chance that somehow this is a merc that he twice spawned and killed.
Really?
I don't know of any mercs with this particular path, but it's not something I normally think about because I'm not as clever as Arco. But
Well, the other thing is, as you mentioned, he probably had to transform it
right,
and then transform it into a size 6 chassis
Yeah.
to get this size 6 white mage.
yeah,
So this is an expensive super combatant.
yeah. He's got also a
Got
really
a
cool sword. He's got this Sunslayer, which has a area
Right.
effect 5 armor negating damage, and it doesn't affect undead, so he won't kill himself. Because you can see the little black effect.
Exactly. And when we watch this, you can see sometimes it lands on his own square. There it did.
Yeah.
It just landed on his own square.
And it's only
this
turn
is pretty
15.
cool.
He's damn near killed everything.
Yeah. No, this is pretty cool. And a huge amount of shock resistance, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, this was like no contest. So that was a very scary dude. Actually very funny because I'm fighting Arco in another game and something like this just jumped out of my friggin' rice bowl at me. Like, goddamn, it's every single nation he cosplays Vanheim now. That's kind of funny. But yeah, no, that's pretty clever. He did play Vanheim in the qualifiers to get here. So he made good use of white mages there too. But anyway, super cool little trick. And I guess we implied it. We didn't say it out, but some people are probably not following along. When you die, the type of undead form you get is based on how big you were, and a few other things, but mostly how big you were when you died. And if you cast transformation, that's one of the ways to change your size. Is you could luck into a really big chassis or into a really small one. And yeah, anyway.
Well, I think I looked it up a while back. I did a bit of an analysis on transformation during my game in the tournament, and I think it was around 15% of getting good chassis.
Yeah.
Like really good, but there's some other ones that are still good, like the flying monkey's cool. What you're really after is in transform is the handful of either big or full slot chassis.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are big but only have a couple slots.
That's
and twice,
that's the beautiful thing about Twiceborn is you don't care about the slots anymore, or it fixes the slots issue.
It does.
Yeah. Okay. So that is Pelagia. Otherwise,
Pelagia,
not much happening. And they've got the Throne of Death. I'll be interested to see if he claims it. I don't think I would. If I think the game's going to go late, I probably want population.
Yeah.
Especially for him. He's got so much death income, just income in general in gems. I don't think 5 is enough to make him tank a scale, but maybe he will.
I wouldn't either. I would probably just leave it, but I'd ford it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure he will.
All right, so we've done Vanheim, nothing's happening. Ashdod, let's read their message. You want to do this since it's addressed to you?
Hey, Maryland, I've tried to cheese that throne like you said. I put a bit more gear because they got archers and griffins. Ducello thinks I have a chance of timering it out, but the air elementals will trample me after the hawks fly away. We'll see. Everything else is boring. Yeah, so we definitely want to see this fight.
So tell us what to expect, Marilyn. What is the thing you've been talking about?
The cheese idea is that what you do is you send a thug with very high shock resistance. Because this throne has the springhawks, they fly and surround you, and you don't kill them. You deliberately choose not to kill them. And so you have somebody with a shield, no weapon, just a fist, a lot of shock resistance, and it just sits there and the springhawks surround it, and you try to timer it out.
Okay.
And then everything else runs away, and at the end of it, you're left with the throne.
So would this qualify? We've got a dude with a shield and a fist and 40 shock resistance. Oh my god.
Big regen.
And he's going to do iron skin on himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't kill a thing. He's just going to sit there. And the Springhawks arrive. There's the one Griffin.
Yeah.
But there's only one. And he already probed it. He would have seen there's only one Griffin. If there was 20 Griffins, you might need a little different mix. But see, all of these infantry, which could chop him up, don't even get to him.
Well, he does get hit by a lot of these javelins. It might have been good to do air shield. Oh, he can't do air shield, but okay. Yeah,
no.
If he did a shield of valor here, that might have been a little nicer.
Get that he got iron for flesh up.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, this is the cheese. I've never successfully done it. I not even really wanted to do it.
Yeah. So he's routed now. They're doing living clouds, not
Oh, they're little guys, so they didn't trample it. He was worried if they sent the big air elementals, he'd get trampled, and that he would.
Yeah. Now, it times out. We won't sit here and watch the rest of it. But basically, he's retreating, and yeah, he wins. And once the turn timer hits, he can't get out of there fast enough, and then everybody else runs away.
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh, his guy did run away, because
Yeah.
that throne is owned by him.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because you don't particularly care.
I think I remember, because we had recorded this before, he ran away, and there was only an air elemental left. So technically the Indies won, but everything died.
So pretty fun.
That's cool. We got to see that. So awesome. And then on the Zabalban front, it doesn't look like much is happening here. Just a few scouts pinging. He might have gone AI this turn. That's why the scouts are attacking.
Okay.
One fort left.
Call it out for Zalba.
And then this was, I don't know, he said he was doing a thug somewhere. I don't even know where that thug was from Pangaea, but I think we've covered everyone. We can take a quick, Omen Satis.
Just a brief overview. The only thing I wanted to know is, do we see the Satis god anywhere? Because I believe this is the turn it's already dead.
It was here, I think, the previous turn. I think it just moved here. So it's reset in the lab. Yeah. The cap is cracked, so we're going to see if Olm goes after the cap. Maybe there's a few things that could happen. He could move the god out here and Wind of Death, or he could teleport it inside and try to fight inside the fort and maybe try to clog up the gate and do Wailing Winds or something. Those, I think, are the things you expect.
Those are about the only things he's got left. But he's got to get it into the capital if he's going to try to hold it.
But I think Olm's been spending his whole Earth income every turn, just nuking mages with Earth attack. Which, by the way,
one of them told us there was a ton of Earth attacks coming.
I don't approve of this.
You thought it was a bit too costly for the benefit.
Yeah. When you're killing a rump state, you don't want to go all out and spend every single thing you have. You need to win for sure, but come on.
Well, he does have Earth well up, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a ton of Earth income, but he needs that. He needs the Earth income to make things. Put simply, like you said, make an army with clockwork dudes or mechanical men or whatever. But he's probably spent hundreds of gems now killing Satis mages.
Probably.
Yeah. You limit how well you can win. Like, you can only win how efficiently you trade, because essentially all war is like a trading of resources in a way. And when you're casting Earth Attack, you're saying this is the cheapest, this is the best I can do. And it's not that great, because it's 5 Earth gems to kill like a 200 gold mage. That's not an amazing deal. Unless they have...
Dominions is definitely a game of economy, a 4X game, but it definitely has a strong economic component.
Yeah.
I just thought that since we're re-recording this, I should make a call out that we will be publishing an interview with Satis.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably as good a time to do it as any. Maybe this turn or the turn after we'll put it up.
Yeah. We had a really good interview with Coconut, and watch for it.
Yeah, so looking forward to talking with him, having him, his video up here on the channel will be cool.
Right on.
All right, see you guys.